Alright, everybody, JP the Third, VNs Now. We are here, and we are here. Well, I'm completely off on my intro. We have more Suzerain for you. Fairly big decision to make here. We know what Alphonso and Mongo are going to be asking for. Let's see how we're going to get it done. After a series of intense meetings with CR and Pascal, I decided to take some much-needed rest to recharge. Lucian and Peter were laboring tirelessly in the capital, uniting democratically leaning reformers for the crucial task of drafting a new constitution. Meanwhile, Gus Manga had invited me to visit the Gasom headquarters in Narbel. It was situated in Ornable, a neighborhood on the city outskirts. Next to it was the Damonoi. Next to it was the Damonoi, let's go with that, gas reserve, a prominent natural gas source consisting of 4 large fields. As our motorcade made its way to the Ornable district, I noticed the neighborhood's state of disrepair. The roads were bumpy and marked by potholes, while the buildings surrounded us appeared... Excuse me. That's not me. You guys all see the sentence. Let me back it up and try again. The roads were bumpy and marked by potholes, while the buildings surrounding us appeared run down and dilapidated. The community had apparently endured a prolonged period of neglect. We came to a halt at the entrance gates of the facility. A sizable mural depicting the Gasom logo had been painted on a nearby wall. Adjacent to the mural, a group of individuals wearing blue work vests had assembled, holding what looked like protest signs. Sergei skillfully parked the car, bringing our journey to a smooth and elegant conclusion. Gus greeted us warmly as we stepped out of the vehicle. Good day, President Rayne. Welcome to Gasom's Narbel operations. I trust Ministers Walden and Ben Walden overwhelm you with their demands. Good to see you, Gus. I wanted to talk to you about what we can do to help the development here. Perfect. That's exactly what I hope to accomplish during today's discussion. My job is to improve the condition of places like these. Mr. President, I've been brainstorming a little something. The Gruny Rural Investment Plan. I reckon it's got the potential to breathe new life into our rural communities out in Gruny. We could consider a few things. For starters, we could give the farming business a boost with some subsidies. Or we could steer towards modernizing existing farms with machinery and tech. Or, here's another thought, we could pour resources into the developing crop breed Taylor, made for Gruny conditions. If it works out, we could roll this out across Sordland. He keeps talking as he guided me into the Gasom building. Mr. President, I get the appeal that... Okay, back it up. Mr. President, I get the appeal of that green bill that's been making the rounds in the Assembly. But I'm telling you, if we put the brakes on that and funnel those funds into the Gruny plan instead, we could make some real strides without spooking any potential investors. The left is going to demand that we focus more on the environment, and we are swinging a little bit more left in this run. It's a tough call, Gus. I need to weigh the environmental implications and the economic benefits. That's all I'm asking for, Mr. President. Just give this plan a fair shake. Our talk was interrupted by a noise coming from outside the building. We looked out the nearest window. A sleek helicopter was cutting through the sky, sunlight glinting off its polished surface as it descended towards us. On it was our next appointment, Ewald Alphonso. Alphonso sure knows how to make an entrance. The man loves his theatrics. Before we meet him, I want to bring up one more piece of assembly business. This workers' rights bill. Look, I'm all for giving hardworking folks what they deserve, but isn't it a bit hasty to push this while we're still stuck in a recession? The way I see it, short-term wins might end up costing us big time in the long run. Gus, I get what you're saying, but isn't it high time we put people before profits? I see where you're coming from, Mr. President. But a prosperous economy helps everyone, workers included. If we're all sinking, nobody's winning. Please, come this way. Ewald and I have some exciting news to share with you. I have faith you won't leave us hanging. your convincing arguments about the railway project, I was curious what else we could achieve. Ha! I'm flattered, Mr. President, and I'm glad you made the right choice, of course. I admit I'm slightly frustrated that you contracted SSC. They've been leeching off the Swedish people for too long. Corruption in that organization is unfathomable. Makes the Lothberg group look like saints. I had to take the safe option this early in the term, Mr. Munger. Understandable, but we have to break the cycle at some point if we want to stick around. I mean, I don't want to, the other options are either I'm proud of this company, which I don't know how well it's going to do, or I kind of show my hand that we're state capitalists and we are leaning on that planned economy, hoping for the best. Anyway, I digress. Let's get to the elevator. He pushed open the door. We walked down yet another hallway, seemingly in the direction we just came from. Like a maze, isn't it? That's Quinali architecture for you. The hallways were lined with doors. Glass panels in them revealed workers in suits and ties, many of foreign origin, busy in their pristine offices. In stark contrast to the blue-collar workers outside working with machinery, transportation, and maintenance. Quinali architect is an odd choice. Some of Gasom's global hires are from the Republic of Quinal. Once you get past their cultural differences, they're really quite gifted. Ah, here's the elevator. Ewald ought to be up there already. There's a separate entrance by the helipad. We stepped into the elevator. Gunge punched a code, and we began our ascent. Just remember, Alphonso's our friend. We got the foundation for a great deal. The door opened. Here we are. Ewald, my friend. Ewald Alphonso stood up from his chair. He had on a perfectly tailored suit that he wore as casually as pajamas. Gus, you old devil. It takes one to know one. As promised, I brought our guest of honor, President Rayne. I hope you enjoyed seeing our facilities here. President Alphonso, it's nice to see what you've built from the inside. It's fine. Nothing compared to our Gasom HQ in Holsford, of course. Still one of the standouts of the Maroon District. Please, have a seat. Let's talk. We sat down. Some snacks and drinks were served. Multiple Gasom yearly financial reports were scattered on the table between us. It's been a while, Mr. Rayne. Let me catch you up on my activities since I left office. I ventured to Xena, immersing myself in its vibrant culture, then traversed the captivating landscapes of the Anrakan Peninsula, and finally reunited with old acquaintances in Kyoto. Along the way, I had the privilege of encountering remarkable individuals who have made significant contributions to their respective fields. My experience prompted deep reflection on the essence of life. I came out of it all with two words resonating in my head: reputation and legacy. These two pillars embody the lasting impact we leave behind and the way we are remembered by others. With a cup of coffee in his hand, he strolled over to the window, his gaze drawn to the expanse of gas fields stretching before him. Towering mountains provided a majestic backdrop. God, I can really just go hardcore communist, can't I? My reputation and legacy hold significance. We should also remember that life's true essence lies in the present moment. He gazed out for a moment longer as he contemplated what I said, then turned back to us. I've been thinking about my own legacy and reputation, and I refuse to be remembered as a failed reformer. I put so many years of my life into this corporation, and then I left it all behind and devoted myself to serving the people of Sordland. And so if you did, Sordland would be much worse off without you. I cannot help but empathize with individuals who invest their utmost dedication and passion into their work. That is much appreciated. I'm well aware of the challenges you yourself have faced. I commend you for navigating those obstacles without causing harm to others. But I'm concerned about the future of what I have built up. The latest figures show that Gasom will either have to decrease staff and operations by 40% in 1 year, or take on a crushing amount of debt. That's why we have decided to reach out to foreign investors. Makes sense. Foreign investors will bring much needed capital and expertise. Correct, Mr. President. It is a strategic move to ensure the growth and success of Gasom, benefiting both the company and the nation. I appreciate you coming through, Gus. Getting Rizia interested in another investment is a major feat. We've got an amazing opportunity here. The demand for gas is steadily increasing from both international partners and the Sordland state. All we have to do is ensure a consistent supply. The trouble is that right now, some of our fields are operating at only half of their capacity due to resource limitations. But we have significant potential for expansion, including 2 new fields that haven't been tapped. With the right amount of investment, we can expand resource extraction, effectively fulfill rising demand, and ensure long-term stability and profitability. There is the aforementioned interest from Rizia, but the investment can also come from Sordland itself. If your analyst is correct, the investment will also make returns and secure further gas. Indeed, this deal has the potential to bolster both Gasom and Sordland. Together, we can create a historic opportunity. Why settle for being in the top 10 energy exporters when we have the potential to compete with Arcasia, United Quintana? Mr. Alphonso has neglected to mention that this is not an either-or proposition. Sordland can invest alongside Rizia. When you approach the large international banks in Kuruta or in Raqqa, they might be eager. Why travel far for what you can achieve at home without good friends in Rizia? Some international banks are interested, but they would rather buy the entirety of Gasom, which is not possible, at least for now. The sounds of sirens briefly distracted us. Through the window, we saw police cars driving down the street adjacent to the Gasom zone. We redirected our attention to the meeting. Ewald looked at me. Mr. Rayne, the foundation for a robust partnership is right here. It's high time we shift our focus towards sealing this deal. If we raise our minority investment, it would allow us to invest in further resource excavations in the gas fields and turn the company back to significant profitability. By significant, I mean our projections show that Gasom will be able to cover 80% of Sordland's gas needs in 3 years, and we would achieve profits 4 times the value of our investment. If we are to invest in Gasom, I want to make sure that the company is also committed to improving the socio-economic conditions in Narbel. I wholeheartedly agree. The well-being of Narbel citizens is a priority for Gasom. With this investment, we could certainly allocate some funds to improve the local infrastructure and create more jobs. Mr. President, I've been thinking, what if we tie Gasom's growth to Narbel's development? Get the company to invest in the community, you know? That way everybody wins. Mr. President, your administration's focus on a planned economy resonates with our strategic vision. Wow, that was me. Let me back it up. Mr. President, your administration's focus on a planned economy resonates with our strategic vision for Gasom. A government investment in our company aligns perfectly with this approach. It's about strengthening Sordland's economy and becoming self-sufficient in energy production. It's amazing. He was a free marketer right up until he wanted the money that could increase his own profitability, which, to be fair, is the capitalist move here. I see the potential for Gasom to drive Sordland's energy independence, but we need to make sure this is a sustainable solution. You bring up a valid point. We're dedicated to responsible resource extraction and have allocated a portion of the proposed investment for environmental mitigation measures. Sustainability is a key part of our strategy. Couldn't agree more, Mr. President. We've got to keep the big picture in mind, and that includes our environment. I trust Ewald and his team to handle this responsibly. If the Swedish government chooses to invest, it will gain a voice in the broader company decisions, even as a minority stakeholder. The government could either liquidate its shares at a future date or continue to reap the long-term profits. A beneficial arrangement for all parties. I will walk back over to the window. He stood there, silhouetted against the vast expanse of the gas fields. After a moment, he turned back to face us. His gaze was steady, the expectation clear in his eyes. The time had come to make a decision. Well, Mr. President, will Gasom and Sordland make history or not? It will... It's gonna take a chunk of... Like... I love the picture. Like, I love the contradiction. And, like, this is so real world. This is what happens regardless of your economic philosophy. When any kind of corporation, major corporation, wants to make a major expansion, they work through government involvement or intervention. That's your welfare states, your capitalist economies, anybody. But in this situation, I mean, if we were doing a liberal capitalist run, we would probably just do a minority, like we'll go in with Rizia, even with the implications of that decision, because Rizia is an ally of Rumsberg. But considering this run, it's all going to be, most of what we're going to be doing will be ensuring the government stake in the economy. I think we'll get by pretty well by kind of going all in here. We'll take a pretty good minority stake, and we'll probably do that again with some of the state-owned corporations, or either taking a majority stake or a substantial minority stake. We'll have to see what we do when we get there. But this puts Sordland at the center of the economy. It is a true, it truly is, I won't say a welfare state, but we're on the road there. And it'll take a piece of our budget now, but if I'm right, we'll be able to fold all that back in and fund greater operations. So we're going in. We're investing alone. Sordland will provide the majority of funds, and Gus will tell Rizia to back off. Your decision shows a commitment to Sordland's energy independence. We won't let you down. That's a bold move, Mr. President, but I reckon it's the right one. Gasom's success will be Sordland's success. The word workers will have no fears about job security thanks to this state intervention. Before we dive into the celebrations, I've allocated time during this meeting for President Rayne to discuss any concerns regarding Gasom's treatment of his workers and its effects on Narbel. The labor union, along with the Communist Party of Sordland, has rallied substantial support from Gasom workers in Narbel, advocating for improved local conditions. Alphonso nodded and looked at me. Our duty is to listen and take action. That's the mandate granted to us by the public. While sometimes people may not always recognize what's in their best interest, you have a proposal in mind, Mr. President. I should have paid more to, it's tripping me up now because I forgot exactly what their demands were. Where is the radical? Here we go. Group union, blah, 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 blah. Minimum wage, overtime pay, safe. Interesting. So... one of these are here twice. Two of these are here twice, so I'm assuming that's just a bug. But, I don't think we get anything by getting them to do that, but if we get them to do higher wages, I think that covers the brunt of what they're asking for. The news is already out about our move. So the government's large-scale investment in Gasom has another wave of criticism. Detractors argue that throwing money at systemic issues plaguing the sector is far from a viable solution. This strategy, rather than addressing the root of the problem, raises questions about the government's economic vision and future of our energy industry. Yeah. me think. We'll, I think it's a mistake. I think it's a mistake asking them to invest in things that the government will be investing in anyway. I think that's a misstep. So, although if, I don't know, like, the options are pretty resounding here. And let me think. If we do just the raise, which is a possibility, I don't think that actually fixes anything per se. I feel like that's just going to, if we just say, hey, your workers need better education and healthcare and whatnot, they'll just give it to the foreign workers, which, in order to attract more foreign workers. But if we say specifically, if we say specifically that we want them to invest in the workers with a raise, I don't know. That is the answer to that question. I don't think there's a right answer because there's nothing to say he'll do any of it. You know what? I'm going to go with hopefully and I feel like we're just going to go back to pay. Where are my reports when I need them? I'm being extraordinarily, all things considered, I'm being extraordinarily indecisive. There we go. Labor strike at Gasom. I don't know if that helps at all. I don't know if that helps at all. Let's, okay. Hopefully. This is a shot in the dark. I'm not even gonna lie. The workers of Gasom need better housing, access to healthcare, and opportunities for education. As a leading industry here, it can't ignore its responsibility. A good point. I see potential for Gasom to play a large role in supporting our workers in the community. I will personally oversee initiatives to provide private housing, health, and education support for our blue-collar workers. These are significant steps. I look forward to seeing these changes implemented swiftly. Ewald, your personal commitment to these initiatives speaks volumes. This could be a turning point for Gasom and for Narbel. Indeed, Mr. President, we're committed to. Suddenly the meeting was interrupted. The quiet murmur of conversation from outside the room grew louder, followed by the sound of hurried footsteps. A member of the private security team entered the room, his face taut with urgency. He approached Alphonso and leaned in to whisper something in his ear. Ewald nodded solemnly, his gaze meeting mine with a serious intensity. Gentlemen, it seems we have an unexpected situation outside. Some protesters from the labor union have blocked the main vehicular exits. Katarina Horton and Dennis Stoller seem to be leading the group. It would be difficult to leave the way we came without causing trouble. Oh, that's a pickle. What's our move, Ewald? I have a helicopter ready. We can leave undetected and avoid the chaos and potential danger. Is there no other way out? Trust me, I know this place well. The only other way out is through a dangerous hilly terrain or the sewers. Mr. President, I advise you to leave via helicopter just in case. I can stay back and update the crowd on the discussions today. So you won't know where I stand. Mr. President, I have discussed the situation with the Presidential Guard and the police security. They are advising us not to go out the way we came in. More police are on the way. You must make a decision, Mr. President. Everyone waited. The tense silence of the room stood in stark contrast to the buzz of the ever-growing crowd outside. Alright, the investment has been made. It was legitimately like... It was my most substantial, indecisive moment so far. Hopefully I won't have too many of those. I hope, because there's no guarantee he'll actually do it. It's a private corporation. He can, of course, because we made, I feel like that option only opened up because we made such a large investment. We can always yank it and really put them in a bind. So my hope is that by doing that, we can influence kind of the turn of this, but you don't really know. It would have been much easier, I think. It probably would have been much easier to say, okay, just give your people more money. But I imagine if we did, the union would have said, well, you're not investing in the community. But the other side of that coin is by investing in the community, they'll say, well, you're not giving us money. So I don't know if there was a way to win here, no matter what you did. Security forces that gathered intel regarding a hidden meeting among local leaders of the separatist group Blue Freedom Front that occurred a few days ago. It is suspected they have elected a new leader in the meeting, Ewald Alphonso, who is the brother of the infamous former leader Ewald Alphonso. We'll have to keep our eye on that. We have a decision to make. We can't fly off. That's just gonna make us look terrible. Here's hoping we don't get shot. As we stepped out of the towering front gate of the Gasom facility, I immediately became aware of how tense the situation was. Gasom stood to my right, his silhouette barely distinguishable from the monolithic edifice behind us. Sega stood to my left, his eyes scanning the crowd with the precision of a hawk. Gasom security had drawn their weapons in anticipation, forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. A presidential guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from a sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening, the hostility palpable. Stoller and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus extended a megaphone towards me. Good people of Narbel, we come here today seeking understanding and progress. We're in the bridge gap between Gasom and its employees. We are not blind to your struggles. We seek to acknowledge them, address them, and above all, improve them. Speeches and more speeches from President Rayne. What exactly was decided today? We need more than pretty words. We need substance. She's right, Mr. President. We need details. What's going to change for the workers? Now hold on a moment. President Rayne is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative. Is that so, Monger? All we've seen are decisions that favor the likes of you and Ewald Alphonso, not the common workers. It's not about narratives, Mr. Monger. It's about ensuring fair, dignified life for the working class. Something your policies have consistently failed to do. Man, we can read this dude for filth. You're an academic and a lawyer, Mr. Stoller. What do you really know about the struggles of the working class? I understand your skepticism, Dennis, but I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. Your words are compelling, President Rayne, but can they truly outweigh years of corporate dominance? Your intentions sound noble, President Rayne, but intentions alone don't feed families or pay bills. We need concrete actions. It's clear from your lack of commitment to education that you don't fully comprehend the scope of the challenges faced by our workers' families. Mr. President, we demand that you support the upcoming Workers' Rights Bill. The labor force of Sordland will be watching your next move closely. Furthermore, we want reform. Reduce the election threshold and change the Constitution to make a more democratic and fairer nation. Man, I want to do it at least one time, and it will end with me getting shot. But I want to do one time where I can just be an ass. Not to my family, because I don't think I can ever pull the trigger on those choices or make those choices. But just to everybody else, like, how dare you speak to that way to your president? You and Grace have no idea how much I sacrificed. Like really just go all in. Just be as corrupt as possible. Pretty sure you can't have an affair in this game, but like literally go all in. I understand the concerns and frustrations many of you have. Rest assured, we are here, we are listening, and we are committed to addressing these issues. Despite the sharp words exchanged, the crowd remains eerily calm. It seemed like they were waiting, their collective breath held in anticipation of something more. Suddenly, a reporter, who I'm sure we all know, pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone towards me. Locals of Narbel have suffered under the impact of Gasom for years. What concrete steps is Gasom going to take for the benefits of the local community? As a result of our negotiations, Gasom has committed to improving the living conditions for its workers. This includes providing private housing and ensuring access to health care and education. This is a vital step towards building a more resilient workforce. A change came over the crowd. The angry shouts were replaced with cries of disbelief, then joy. Woo! Good decision by our part. Eventually, all fell silent as they waited for Dennis and Katrina to respond. If these promises materialize, it could mean a significant improvement in the lives of our comrades in Gasom. This is a start, albeit late. Let's hope it's not mere lip service. Private housing, healthcare, and education? That's indeed a shift from the status quo, Mr. President. While I commend this commitment to improve the lives of our Gasom workers, we can only hope this is not just another political gambit. A group of figures emerged from the crowd, adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire. The red youth have arrived. The sight of them triggered nostalgia, memories of days filled with protests and camaraderie during our time at university. I realized this was no longer a mere protest. It was a symbol of a broader, more potent struggle. The police began reorganizing their ranks, adopting defensive postures. Could you shed some light on the possible deal between the Swedish government and Gasom? What role does the Kingdom of Rizia play in this arrangement? Our nation will shoulder the investment for Gasom. It's a bold step, but one that underscores our commitment to self-reliance and autonomy. A surprising but potentially promising decision, Mr. President. Let's hope your confidence isn't misplaced. Encouraging, President Rayne, as long as your government drive to recoup your investment doesn't take precedent over Gasom's struggling labor force. Nearby, a Gasom security officer and a presidential guard member were convening in hushed tones. I saw them glance over the crowd, now calmer but still restless. President Rayne, while the crowd appears somewhat subdued, I would advise we exercise caution. It may be best to conclude your address and proceed to the vehicle. Thank you for looking out for me, Sergei. Let's get out of here. I remain here, Mr. President. The crown seems calmer now, and I believe I can answer their queries and maintain peace. You should go ahead. Mr. President, thank you for your willingness to address us. Let's continue these important conversations moving forward. You've shown courage today. We'll see if your actions match your words. Until next time. We have shown courage together. Now we will hold you accountable to your promises. The trouble of the laborers are not over, and neither is the work of our union. Man, we can really lean into the communism. I reached out my hand and Katrina shook it with a smile. Dennis followed suit. Almost immediately, the remaining tension in the crowd dissipated. A few workers nearby broke into scattered applause. The initial hesitant clapping grew louder, and jubilant cheers and whistles filled the air. I saw the Red Youth members standing at the edge of the crowd with their arms folded, a hint of approval in their eyes. As I readied myself to leave, I turned back to Karina and Dennis one last time. Yes, the dialogue has only started. I assure you both, my commitment to progress and change is unwavering. Let us all remember we are here for the same reason, to better the lives of our citizens. Let's not allow our differences to blind us to our common goals. The reporter jumped in. Can you clarify the current status of your personal relationship with... No more questions, please. Mr. President, could you please proceed to the vehicle? Sega opened the door of the car and I lowered myself into the seat. The door closed behind me with a thud, sealing off the external noise. The crowd began to disperse, the individuals breaking away to let our convoy through. The guards took their position nonetheless, forming a human barrier around the vehicle. The engine purred to life and we began to move. I'm glad we're safely on our way, Mr. President. Agreed, Sergei. A job well done by you and your team. We appreciate your acknowledgement, Mr. President. It's our duty and honor. The echoing voices of the protest gradually subsided as we retreated from the scene and left Narbel behind. So absolutely, I think the right choice on our route. I don't think you could have got that reaction if we would have went in half and half with Rizia. So I think I'm going to definitely notch that as a win. Gasom blue collar support and win for traditional values and a step that upholds the dignity of hard-working Sordland citizens. Gasom has committed to providing private housing, health, and education for blue-collar workers. In the face of the economic challenges these workers face daily, this commitment sends a clear message: hard work does not go unnoticed in our society. The workers, often overlooked, are the backbone of our nation. This move by Gasom will not only improve their standard of living, but also boost morale and productivity within the company. A beacon of hope. President Anton Rayne's recent address at the Gasom Gates in Narbel has been met with an overwhelmingly positive response from the crowd. The president's articulate delivery and compelling arguments serve to rekindle faith in the Sordland government, shedding a ray of hope on the current challenges plaguing our nation. His inspiring speech seems to resonate with the working class, leaving an atmosphere of optimism and unity in its wake. In a recent breakthrough, President Anton Rayne secured a commitment from Gasom to provide housing, health, and education support to their hard-working blue-collar employees. This is an undeniable triumph for workers' rights, and significantly, it has been catalyzed by a robust advocacy of the Labor Union of Sordland and the Communist Party of Sordland. In these challenging economic times, this assistance can considerably improve the quality of life for these workers and their families. We hope to see other major companies in Sordland follow suit in the near future. Triumph for worker activism. You're welcome! Never make the radical happy. In a hard-fought victory for workers, Gasom has agreed to extend housing, health, and education support to their blue-collar workforce. This significant development, won primarily through the relentless struggle of the Labor Union of Sordland and the Communist Party of Sordland, marks a milestone in workers' rights. Marks a milestone in workers' rights. The role of President Anton Rayne, while instrumental in the negotiation process, pales in comparison to the blood, sweat, and tears of our workforce. Yeah, you just criticized the key to the entire negotiation. Our government's investment in Gasom, but thanks for everything. We appreciate it. Tone down. I see Marcel is still mad at us. Lovely. The people who will most directly benefit like the move. That's the key. Stability order. This is what I've been waiting for. An investigation on the influence of the Young Swords and Red Youth organizations on the post-assassination arrest have concluded. Both organizations haven't officially organized a call for illegal actions, but several low to mid-level leaders from both have links to insightful actions that lead to death, injuries, and instability. This allows us to ban the organizations. Now, in the last one, we got kind of knocked for not doing anything. It didn't do anything at all, but I don't think we'll do it. I think we'll maintain our commitment to democratic values on this one. So yeah, we'll maintain democracy at least for today. I just don't think there's any. There's the Green Act. I just don't think there's any. Everything we can get from the stability order, we would get from just raising the budget of Interior anyway. That'll be the key thing. So I don't think there's any benefit of it outside of just. Unless you're going an autocrat route and you can ban one of your. And you can use that as casus belli to not only ban one of your opponents, but also kind of isolate them. Finalization. Oh, I did that without signing the green bill. Whoops. Sorry. I thought that was just a note. I was walking to my office since today was the day to edit and make the final changes to the proposed for the proposal to change the Constitution of Sordland. The Reform Committee finally bore tangible results, and the draft of the changes were about to be presented to me. I walked in the marble corridors of the palace, thinking about the huge decision I was going to make. At the entrance to my office, my secretary Olivia greeted me. Good morning, Mr. President. How are you today? Fine, thank you. More importantly, how are you, sir? I'm perfectly fine. Good to hear. She's possible for taking my coat. It looks like she has something on her mind. Mr. Rayne, can you give me a hint about your reform plans? If you ask me, taking away the judge's immunity is long overdue, but it might anger a lot of people in these halls. I'll take that into consideration. I hope you keep me informed. I'll take your coat now. Livia left to hang up my coat. I entered my office and sat down. Not long after, Peter, Lucian, and Neo arrived. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning. Time to finally get this proposal going. Peter placed the draft in front of me. After your modifications, we will start the process. Let's start. After placing the committee's reports and my own notes in front of me, I buried myself in papers. Oh, I guess we could have. Wow. Wrong point. Yes. I want to go over them point by point. That's always fun. Here we go. Wait, did it? Do I have to? Okay, no, I don't have to do the Narbel speech again. Okay. I have to read the news again. I think that's when I lost the constitutional moment. Here we go. Huh? Nope. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I need to sign off on it. It's the green bill I forgot about. Okay, so we're not going to ban any of them. Maintain democracy. Now, here we go. Can we go over each of the points that are in discussion for the draft? Well, apart from the first two sections of decreasing the Supreme Court's authority and limiting the presidential vetoes, nothing else has been agreed on unanimously. We could start talking about Section 3. This is about the impeachment process of the president. Currently, in cases of high treason and breaking the Constitution, the Supreme Court may impeach the president. May impeach and try the president, excuse me. They have both functions. Most reformers want the impeachment to be initiated by the Assembly. They think they do not have any power over potential rogue presidents that would abuse their power. And the Assembly should have oversight over the president. It is the most democratic institution. This law is potentially dangerous for you in this case. We will be going against the old guard, and if we prove to be successful in the Assembly, they will be looking for anything they can declare unconstitutional to tackle you. All they need is the Supreme Court to impeach you. What if we don't succeed? The court could have me impeached for this. Yes, they are already trying to hit you since they are aware about the current winds of change. But we aim to cooperate with some of the judges to make sure that doesn't happen. We will make sure the old guards won't control the court any longer, Mr. President. Section 4. This is regarding the appointment of ministers. Currently, the President is free to appoint anyone from the members of the Assembly. Nobody else is involved with the process. There is definitely a demand to involve the Assembly more in the process. We could introduce a confidence vote. That was my suggestion as well. I'm sure the reformers will completely support that. The fifth section is about our infamous electoral threshold. Most reformers want to lower the threshold as much as possible. Mr. Richter and his PFJP definitely want to see change on this topic. They find our 10% threshold to be anti-democratic, which is something I also agree with. Yes, but this is a delicate matter. The party, and I mean not even Albin, wants us to change the threshold. They think that this will destroy our party in the long term. Not wrong. The 10% threshold is what allowed us to control half the assembly with around 1/3 of the majority in the elections. But the high threshold is the reason why Swedish politics have become isolated to this degree. You're right. Even after Saul's resignation, we still have 3 parties in the assembly. Even Mr. Kimner's NFP was barely elected. Don't forget that the Communist Party and the Workers' Party of Bludia both had close to 10% vote in the last election. You will be opening their way into parliament if you were to decrease the threshold. It is important that you realize this. Of course, that would also mean USP might lose its majority in the assembly, sir. If our own democracy is the reason for our downfall, we will have to accept it. I agree with you, Mr. President. Lucian continued with the next section. Section 6. This is about presidential decrees. Reformers demand more limitations to the president's executive powers. Mr. Richter has demanded them to be completely removed. I have suggested to bring some limitations to decrees regarding their applicability. While we keep them, we should try to make sure they will only be used in emergency situations. We could also make them dependent on an enabling act from the Assembly. Sure, it'll make the whole process longer, but as long as we have the majority, nothing really changes. We will work with the reformers to limit the use of decrees. Friends will probably demand that we remove them completely, but he'd forget that Sordland is a presidential republic. Next one is Section 7, term limits. Uh-oh. Yes, Tarkansas governed for 20 years. It seems his magic is slowly vanishing from the minds of the people, for they believe term limits are necessary. We can't allow someone like Saul holding on to his seat for 2 decades again. We should establish limits. Hey, if people keep electing one person, that means they really are content. The masses are scared of change. Even Saul knew he had to leave, but we will leave it to the president to decide. I will take my time and seriously consider the options before settling on one. Now I'll move on to the 8th section. We're reaching the end. There's a question about the immunity of the judges. While the anti-Olgar sentiment is increasing, there are talks that taking away their immunity would give us authority over judiciary. I do not support taking away their power for yourself, Mr. President. The judiciary must be independent and long-lasting. While I agree that the current court members are problematic, this is no way to resolve it. The law is supposed to ensure the judiciary's independence by giving legal protection so they can't be pressured. Well, they need absolute immunity in theory, but look at what that really got us. Excuse me, but look at what reality got us. We've got to deal with the most corrupt Chief Justice in the world, with no chance to deal with it. They should be able to be impeached. Why do I get to be impeached but not them? Exactly. But it would be tougher to persuade the judges with this. Mrs. Edmonds may not want to cooperate with you if they believe you're going to get rid of them afterwards. And the last one is the question about Saul's legacy. Basically, he's a member of honor law. It gave him absolute immunity even when he's retired. He's a permanent member of the Assembly as well, but luckily he doesn't really attend anymore. According to the Constitution, the member of honor not only have legal immunity, but the state also covers most of their expenses as well as providing security at all times. This can only be given to someone by an absolute majority vote of the Assembly and the approval of the President. That's why only Tarkin Saul has that title. He gave it to himself right after his military coup. This law was basically made to save the colonel and has a symbolic importance for Sordland because of it. We must get rid of the senseless law that protects him. He should be able to face justice for the atrocities that had taken place during his rule. We could, every president could be immune no matter what they do. I feel like that would just make us sound corrupt. We could keep the title, but take away the immunity clause. That would be enough to hold him accountable for his actions, but why would you want to keep such a title, Mr. President? Regardless of him, I see no problem with having a special title for great heroes. Well, regardless of what Mr. Rayne decides, we will need to work together to push this agenda. I thank you all for your input. After placing the committee's report and my own notes in front of me, I buried myself in the papers. Well, we know what we're going to do. And I'll walk through this after I make the decisions. Okay, now let's walk through it. This is almost an exact mirror of what I did. Like, if you're going to do a democratic constitution, this is probably the one that has the easiest chance of getting through the assembly. Now, that being said, without the ties to, because USP, the United Sordland Party, is a autocratic party. They're not going to support a lot of capitalist moves, which is why I think the vote last time was so close. But because we were not only introducing reforms, we were also moving away from the economy plan by Tarkin Saul. So if we, by maintaining his economy and just working to improve it, we may have bettered our chance for a more democratic constitution. But we can't push it. So we're going to limit vetoes so that it can be overwritten by the Assembly. We're giving the Assembly more power, essentially. Remove the Supreme Court's voting rights. The Assembly and the Supreme Court may impeach with a majority in both. That makes the process more democratic for me. A confidence vote is required for the cabinet. Decrease the threshold to 8%. 3%. I don't think you can get 3% without greasing some wheels, to put it mildly. I just haven't done a playthrough yet where I've gotten a 3% threshold through the Assembly. So I think that's just, it's tempting in a game like this to say, hey, this is what I want for a truly democratic state. I just don't think it, and I'll have to look at videos and other playthroughs. I just haven't seen it done. But we can do 8%. Enabling acts for presidential decrees, two terms for every president. Justices may be impeached. Now, we're all accountable to the will of the people. Not by the president, by the Assembly. And we remove the immunity of the member of honor. So they still have all the other stuff attached to them, but they're not immune from prosecution, which is fair. After I made the final changes for the proposal, I showed it to my team. They read the changes and discussed it amongst themselves. Lucian spoke afterwards. Looks like the amendments are ready to be proposed. But I have to say this too. The new electoral threshold will be really difficult for the party to accept. Our guys are not fond of that idea. That's true. It'll be tough to get all of their support. Some of our members may try to openly fight against this. I am prepared to reconsider if it comes to that. We will all do our best to make it work, sir. Any other comments before we proceed? I will say that I do not agree with the new law that gives the Assembly the power to impeach the judges of the Supreme Court. I'm also against the Chief Justice and his obstructionist behavior, but even if we get rid of all of them, the new judges will be less independent with this law. They will be scared to go against the administration when it's needed. They need their protection to do their job. Otherwise, the new ones will be pawns just like Saul's old guards. But it's more important that we get rid of the old guards, Mrs. Morton. After the obstacles are gone, we can strive to make it better. However, he turned to me. You'll have to be careful, Anton. I'm sure you will be fine, but with all that's happening out there, we will need to prepare against these threats one way or another. One way or the other. The Constitution hasn't changed yet. We'll prepare until then. Well, I think we can proceed now. I will personally work on the wording of this proposal with my hand-picked legal experts. With Miss Morton's reputation as the most experienced attorney, this proposal will be bulletproof. Chief Justice Orso will have a hard time convincing others to oppose it. In the meantime, you must introduce this proposal to our party. You will need to get them to back us if we want it to pass the Assembly. Sir, I advise you first talk to the leaders of both conservative and reformist wings of the party. As far as I'm aware, Mr. Clavin supports reforms already. Mrs. Torrey will be the real problem. She became the real heavyweight after we left for the executive. Any advice in regards to dealing with them? As Mr. Vector said, Mr. Clavin will probably be easier to persuade. We will need to unite the party under this, so his support is vital. Mrs. Gloria will be tougher to break. The problem is that she's capable of turning the moderates and the conservatives against us. As much as I don't want to say this, if she makes demands to change the proposal, you may need to give in. Thanks for the advice. Wish you good luck with this party, sir. I think we can end the meeting here. We all shook hands and they left the room. Alright. We have a constitutional draft. Spread the word amongst the people. Breakthrough victory over Rayne. Let me read some of these. It's that time of year again, largest cultural festival in the entire Sordland. Benfey Festival has begun its preparations. This year's venue was picked to be the newly built Benfey High Art Center with a total capacity of 8,000 people. For those who do not have tickets, they can, as always, enjoy the events that span the whole city, especially after the recent events. We can't wait for 4 days of panels, theater plays, exhibitions, and music. I don't know why my voice is acting like this right now. Y'all may have heard how nasally I've gotten, so let's just put a pin in it here. I'll read the rest of these when we get back. But leave a like if you've enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. And this week, actually, going into September, going into Labor Day, we'll be starting and continuing a couple of series. So hope that you support them and check them out. And we'll see you in those. And we will also see you in the next one.